Ayan, kamusta kayo dyan, guys? Ayan, magagalit na naman yung mga haters natin. Sasabihin na naman nila, ito si Darian. Ayan na konyotic. Ay, nako talaga, haters are gonna hate. Buti na lang, wala pang 1% yung mga yan. But, in the meantime, guys, dami natin pag-usapan. Medyo mahaba-habang araw natin. Obviously, our day started quite early. Meeting, of course, with Secretary Enrique Manalo, and I was extremely glad, of course, to be joined by my colleagues, former colleagues at LaSalle, like Professor De Castro. We also had, of course, Professor Romero, also from Ateneo, who's also, I think, the same page with me on Philippine Daily Inquirer. And of course, Marites Vitok, my very good friend, longtime friend from Rappler. And of course, di ba? Yung minamahal ng mga kaibigan natin dyan, itong si Beshi natin, si Christian Esguerra, of course, kasama natin kanina. So it was very, very productive, almost 3-hour discussion, 2.5 hours discussion with Foreign Affairs Secretary. Obviously, Chatham House rules yan, so I cannot divulge the contents of that. What I can say is, very, very impressive si Secretary Manalo. Not in the ways that you would expect me to be impressed, by someone. Kasi siguro ang expectation niya sa akin is I'll say I'm impressed by someone kung, aggressive, flamboyant, eloquent, articulate, the types, medyo like me, di ba? Ayun naman tayo mahita. I mean, not naman that I'm like, I'm just saying like someone na assertive, aggressive. I mean, let me give you an example. Dr. Jaishankar, for instance, the foreign minister of India, for instance, right now, I think he's definitely emblematic of the rise of this kind of flashy, assertive, articulate, very lexically dexterous kind of diplomats and all. Secretary Manalo brings something else. I mean, he's absolutely articulate, is very clear about things he say, even off the record, even if informal. But what I also appreciate with him is talagang, he's on top of his portfolio. He knows what is his duty. He doesn't go outside the parameters of his duty to the nation. And very reasonable, very very comprehensive, very factual yung kanyang response. Of course, I raised a number of issues. Again, Chatham House rules, since I cannot share with you guys, but I range a whole number of issues from my visits all around the world, from Europe, from US, from ASEAN, from New Zealand, whatever. And I got very satisfactory answers. I'm sure my other colleagues also have a lot of things to say. I want to also say that minsan dito sa Pilipinas, meron tayong ugali kung saan nahihirapan tayo na hiwalayan ang ideolohiya or yung ating partisanship from the question of national interest. In a particular sense, no? Kasi, pag pinag-usapan natin yung DFA, mga konyo tayo, kasi pag pinag-usapan natin, guys, yung DFA, ang mga nandyan, especially mga nandyan ngayon, no comment na lang ako sa panon ni Digong kung sino naging DFA secretary niya, ganyan. Ay, nandun pala sa picture. Ay, hindi pala spokesman. Pero kung sino naging DFA secretary ni... Wala na yata hindi na nagtitweet yata masyado yung isa, guys. Tanggalin ko nga siya, baka... Okay. Going back to this mga kameta, bago tayo mag-supra level analysis. Ito. I think it's very important that we have also this political culture kung saan ma-appreciate natin na maraming tao nagtatrabaho dyan sa gobyerno na hindi dahil sila yung tumulong sa kampanya, hindi dahil sila ay malapit sa isang politiko or presidente, or hindi dahil itong mga tao ito ay, alam mo na, di ba? Political butterflies. Hindi. I mean, we're talking about real professionals, diplomats. I mean, ambassador, long-time ambassador, and now Secretary Manalo, second time na Secretary Manalo. Kasi naging temporary secretary din siya back in the day, diba? He comes from a family of diplomats. He knows what he's doing. So I was very impressed. Not to mention, of course, with Ambassador Daza, Asik Daza, who's our spokesman, sa DFA, among other people who met, old-time friends. Ito yung mga tao na may paki sa bansa. Ito yung mga tao na may paki sa ating national interest. Ito yung mga tao na ang kanilang loyalidad ay sa ating bansa. Hindi sa isang administration or the next. Hindi. And in that sense, yes, I have my issues for Ferdinand Marcos Jr. I have a lot of concerns with distortion of history, with revisionism, distortionism. Uh, Pwede natin pag-usapan yung kanyang management of the economy, inflation, industrial strategy or lack thereof. Marami tayong pwedeng pag-usapan ukol sa mga kakulangan ng mga Marcoses, including the current Marcos Jr. administration, right? Beyond the whole debate ng is the crime of the son of the father, crime of the mga, beyond all of that discourse. So, I think it's very important, especially sa mga journalists and academics, na dapat intindihin natin ang trabaho ng mga journalists at academics ay hindi lang purong banat lang ng banat. Although pwede ka naman sumikat kung puro ka lang banat, pero it's also important to appreciate when something right is being done and also appreciate the people who are there in the government doing their job not out of partisan or political calculus but based on really the national interest. Ito mga tao ay may professionals. These are people who did the right thing under whatever administration, whether it's PRD, PBBM, or Aquino, whatever, right? And also, by the way, speaking of being above the fray, let me also say how glad I am na in a sense, kasi usually pag nasa meetings akong ganun, parang medyo feeling ko outlier ako kasi I don't neatly fit into any category. I mean, I do academic. I teach at the University of the Philippines. I take graduate school. I'm Philippine Daily Inquirer columnist. I'm extremely proud of that. I'm very happy for those privileges of being in the top in those top institutions. Of course, television also anchor, host, whatever. Also, now at One News TV5 before in GMA Network. Yeah. But obviously, nag-vlog din tayo, diba? And I know there are a lot of people na nagsasalita na, ito si Richard Darren, nagpapatawa ko nyo, tigana. Like, dude, bro, tall, chong bro, di ba? If you want to get serious version of me, go and watch my lectures, right? Go look at my lectures all around the world, whether it's talks in Stanford, Berkeley, Harvard Law School, Columbia University, whatever. It's all there. YouTube, nasa YouTube lang yan, libre lang yan. Go ahead and read my thousands of articles on international affairs, Philippine foreign policy. Go read my. So if you want to get the serious side of me, by the way, it's easy also to find my interviews with the BBC, CNN, Farid Zacharias, whatever of this world. Andun yun. The whole reason why I made these vlogs is precisely because we want to have a more, yung parang informal, relatable, medyo kantsawan, medyo cool pals style, di ba? Sabi ko, hindi naman pwede mga cool pals lang na may monopoly sa comedy. Pwede naman tayo may konting comedy. Now, hindi ko ma-appreciate ang political wit or satire or sarcasm. Problema mo na yan. Hindi ko problema yan. But I think people have to appreciate where I'm coming in from. At the same time, guys, I'm also very glad, and I'm saying this very genuine, that there are other people out there who are also legitimate journalists and also doing vlogging among others, and of course I'm talking about our good friend si Christian Esguerra. May mga na-comment diyan kanina, Batman, Superman, ganun. Actually nagbibiro lang ako kanina sa kanya. Kasi the other week may mga nag-hanash sa akin, and then may mga tao na gusto ipapa-compete kami na si Richard ganito, si Chris. Parang there's no need to compete kasi all of us naman are serving the national interest. All of us in our own little ways. 'Di ba? In our own little humble ways. Hindi naman kami katulad yung mga fake news vloggers na million na bot yung followers. I'm sorry, okay. Million. Hindi naman kami katulad ng mga yan. Mga few hundred thousands lang naman yung mga followers namin. Pasensya na, small time lang naman kami. But ito po yung paraan namin. Para hindi lang relatable yung everyday. Parang kasama na kami sa buhay nyo. Kumbaga, nung isang araw po, shoutout pala by the way sa Q family. I had a fantastic discussion. I mean, yung experience na minsan nagsusulat ka, you're writing about, something serious, etc. Then you're having a break or you're having interviews, I don't know, the other day at Washington Post, Financial Times, whatever, and then bigla yung katabi mo na recognize na ikaw yan. Kasi I don't know if some of you people know, I look a bit different person, a bit younger, a bit better. So siguro yung iba, hindi kasi, alam mo, kasi usually pag nandito ako, pagod na yung itsura ko, tingnan mo yung eye box ko and all of that. But anyway, and then you can see how comfortable they are talking to me. Kasi kinompare ko yan dun sa panahon na yung mga iba, nakikilala ka lang kasi nakita ka sa TV or whatever. Ngayon, iba yung nakikinig sila sa'yo almost every day eh. Yung ginawa kang daily routine. You could see the level of comfort is there. Parang kaibigan mo. 'Di ba? Na very relaxed sila sa'yo. Kaya tuwan-tuwa ako guys dito sa vlogging experience natin. And tuwang-tuwa ako na may katulad din tayo ni Christian Esguerra, si Mark Gamboa, of course, the one and only Edu Manzanas, Ronald Llamas, Richard Aldens, 'di ba? Now, all of us in our little ways, we're trying to create a culture of political discourse na may konting bardagulan, may konting kwentong barbero, pero at the same time, it's humor, it's politics, it's dark humor, obviously, a lot of times, but sometimes it's just tawanan lang, di ba? Do you get what I'm saying, guys? So again, if you want to see my serious part, yeah, thank you dun sa mga kay Eugenio, di ba? Watch yung One News View from Manila, natin, kung saan I'm interviewing actually senators, ambassadors, serious stuff. With Senator Trillanes, lumabas yung latest namin back-to-back, i-send ko yung link. So I make a distinction between yung vlogs natin at saka yung formal television, formal interviews ganun natin. And at the same time, extremely also glad that we have all other friends and kudos to Christian Esguerra. I think he has done a great service to our political discourse. I'm not sure we're 100% agreeing on everything. Let me be absolutely clear, diba? Siyempre, iba yung pananaw niya sa mga ibang bagay. Siguro, of course, him coming from the world of journalism, me coming from the world of political science, social sciences, punditry. But I think deep inside, I think all of us share a common goal, which is really to serve our country by elevating the level of political discourse. And every day. Tignan mo guys, buong araw literally kanina, habang nasa daan ako sa ibang talk, sa Iswa Center. Meron pa akong ibang talk naman sa Habibi Center sa Indonesia. So, tuloy-tuloy lang yan. And, completely different topics and all. And then tuloy-tuloy lang yan. Buti nga na-reschedule pa yung dinner natin kanina na isa pang meeting na medyo seryoso, West Philippines, ganun. So, I just hope people appreciate that. And hindi kailangan na ipapa-competition kaming lahat because we're all part of the same team in a sense. Team Philippines. Right? Team Facts First. Team deep dive analysis, all of those things. Yun po yung gusto natin gawin. So, I really encourage everyone, guys, to contribute to itong culture of collaboration and reaching out and all. Now, obviously, ako, sutil din ako. Minsan, nagsusutilan kami, harap-harapan, nagsusutilan kami. Whether it's Mark, whether it's Christian, si Ronald, everyday kami nagsusutilan. 'Di ba? Baka naman, mamarites niyo pa yan. But, deep inside, guys, we're all very committed to this. Bakit namin gawin everyday yan? I'm sure, kunyari si Christian, kanina nakita ko, nag-reply siya dun sa pinost ko. Kasi he so kindly also shared yung picture. I didn't have kasi yung group picture eh. Immediately nil-share ko rin afterwards. Kakatapos lang yata niya yung vlog. Si Senator Laila de Lima, diba? Kasi nakikita ko yun sa feeds ko eh. So immediately, diba? I'm sure that guy was tired. He had a lot of things to do. Dad pa yan. Young dad pa yan. So daming ginagawa. Pero tuloy-tuloy pa rin itong commitment namin. So I think dapat maintindihan ng tao, yung ginagawa namin dito ay malalim ang hugot nito. And positive po yung hugot namin. Positive in a sense na naintindihan namin yung pangangailangan ng bayan pagdating dito sa issue of critical thinking. Especially, lalong-lalo na dito sa diskursong pampolitika. Diba? Pampolitika, pampamilya, diba? Mga ganun. So, this is the context of our conversation. Now, let me set that. Medyo Ronald Llamas. Let me set that. So ngayon, na-set na natin yung predicate. Pag-usapan natin naman. Sorry guys, pag minsan medyo sabaw ako sa vlogs natin. I hope also people understand, I do this like at the end of a very long day sometimes. Minsan nagsusulat pa ako, nag-gym pa ako after, diba? So, I hope people understand, iba po yung day jobs namin. I cannot afford to be a full-time vlogger, right? Maraming salamat sa inyong suporta. I truly appreciate itong suporta na nakuha natin, itong following na meron tayo. But at the same time, I hope people appreciate na hindi namin day job to. Marami pa kayong mga day jobs. So minsan, pag medyo pagod, medyo malabo yung sinasabi natin or sabog, pasensya. Pero at least I hope you appreciate yung konteksto ng sinasabi natin. Now, sasabihin namin, ang daming papyo itong si Richard. Now, let's go to discussion of today. Kasi, ni-raise ko yan dun sa dalawang interviews natin kahapon. Kasi, in-arrange ko yung interview with Justice Carpio and also with Admiral Ong. Nagalit pa si Admiral kung sa Justice ako na Justice. In the context yung nangyari sa West Philippines over the week. And not only yung nangyari sa West Philippines Sea, but also yung response, yung speeches, anong sinabi ni Gibo, anong sinabi ni Bersamin, paiba-iba, yung mga ganun. So, kaya sinet up ko yan. At saka yung senaryo, mga nakakatakot na senaryo, kung saan posible ang mga Chino i-replicate nila yung ginawa nila sa atin sa yung sa mga Rore papunta sa Ayungin Shoal. Na baka ang gagawin nila, gagamit din sila ng mga non-kinetic, machete, mga ganyan, para i-take over yung BRP Shermado. So sa akin palagay, napakamahalagang issue na yan. Kaya sinet up ko kagad back-to-back si Justice Carpio and Admiral Ong. And I'm extremely grateful to these people for making time for us. Kasi alam mo, busy-busy din sila. And 9 p.m., mga ganun time. It's not, probably the best time for a lot of people. So, maraming salamat din sa mga guests natin. Siyempre, wala naman tayong budget na, to give honorarium or anything like that. Siguro, sana, bahalang araw, in a way, we can, compensate, kahit basic honorarium lang yung mga guests natin. Siguro, bahalang araw, kung meron tayong, I don't know, I told you guys, diba, ang hope natin is, parang ginawa ng mga Cool Pals, diba, na Spotify event, right? Yun yung hope natin, God willing, down the road, next year, God willing, or something, mag-Spotify event tayo. Pero, para pwede medyo reunion din natin. And we can also bring yung mga ibang mga galing natin, mga guest, regular guest. Whether ito si Ronald, si Justice Carpio. Talagang mag-Justice League tayo, di ba? All stars ang gagawin natin. Who knows? Baka kami ni Christian or Chris or whatever, we can also have a joint kind of a big Spotify event or something like that. So, these are good things. I think we're moving on the right front. Where I'm a bit worried about is etong direction pa rin ng politika natin, domestic politics natin. I think the foreign policy is moving in the right direction. I think in terms of fighting against disinformation, I think in terms of fighting for critical thinking, we are on the right track. Salamat sa Diyos. But etong sinasabi ng, ayan na, balik na tayo sa bardagulan na to. Pero ito yung sinasabi ng mga Dutertes ay medyo kakaiba na to, guys. Kakaiba na to. Now, pag-usapan natin, medyo supra-level. Medyo supra-level. So, obviously, I raised this issue dun sa interview natin with, I raised this issue dun sa interview natin with Justice Carpio and Admiral Ong. But obviously, syempre, ang expertise sila West Philippines and hindi naman yun kasama dun sa natin. Ba't para akong Jesus Kedaro. Para sa atin, kasama. Ang galing talaga ni Leloy talaga. The best talaga yung ginagawa niya. Para sa atin, kasama yung ganyan na ginagaya niya si Jesus Kedaro. Yan. Pag-usapan natin ng masinsinan pero hindi ganun kahaba, diba? So, ito yung idea na magpatakbo sila ng 3 Duterte. Not 1, not 2, but 3, di ba? 3 Dutertes ang ipapatakbo nila. Pero ito yung sinabi ni Sara in a very off-the-cuff, di ba? In very off-the-cuff, ayan naman yung mga troll. Sige lang. Ikaw, baka 2 lang followers mo, kaya huwag kang magaling. Ito yung sinasabi nila na off-the-cuff, no? Na, kunyari, may ambush interview daw. I think a big part of the ambush interview was actually in Misaya, kaya hindi ko maintindihan. But ang translation doon is sabi niya, 3 tatakbo, potentially yung tatay, yung 2 kapatid na lalaki, and then si Basti daw ang tatakbo for presidency, supposedly, right? Now, immediately after, ito yung paborito yung ex-presidential spokesman, ay nag-release na ito, di ba? Talagang, nagsabi niya, di ba? Di ba yung ganitong mga hanash? Di ba? Yan ang tinatawag na supra-analysis, suprang-supra. Sabi na, akalin nyo, wala nang Duterte magic. Hayan, natataranta ang lahat sa anunsyo na 3 sa kanila ang tatakbong senador sa 2025. Ang hindi nila alam, daming na-trigger, natin isa sa takot sila, na-trigger na parang, what? 3, di ba? Narinig ko nga yung iba, nagsabi na, sige, isama nyo na yung kapitbahay, isama nyo na yung 'Di ba? Isama niyo na lahat, isama niyo na lahat, 'di ba? Ganun. Parang yung iba naman pinagtatawanan na lang. And then of course, alam ko naman na iba, sinasabi din nila, bakit ba natin pinapatulan ito to begin with? Parang binibigyan lang natin ng kahalagaan ang dapat hindi bigyan ng kahalagaan. Kasi how can you really take this seriously? So pag-usapan natin ang issue niyan, can we really take this seriously? Is the Duterte magic still there? Dapat ba matataranta tayo? Dapat ba matatawa tayo? Dapat ba matutuwa tayo? Or dapat ba mababahala tayo? Ano bang dapat ang reaction natin dito pagdating sa itong anunsyo na ito? Or dapat yun na, pagtawanan na lang, huwag na natin seryosohin, di ba? So, ito po yung different school of thought. Now, let me put that into a bigger context. Kasi mahalaga to, mga kamets, no? Mahalaga to. First of all, let me say, I completely agree na, and I'll show you how I think, no? Kasi dialectical tayo mag-isip. Kung siguro nag-Hegel kayo or mag-konting may mag-gets nyo sila. So, on one hand, guys, bakit? Sorry. Hindi ko lang kung sa init to or sa, ayan. Sorry na. Ayan, malinis na. On one hand, guys, sa isang banda, yes, you should not underestimate the Dutertes. Absolutely should not underestimate the Dutertes. Never completely count out the Dutertes. In fact, mas siseryosoin mga Dutertes pag medyo desperate mode sila. Right? So, hindi po mutual exclusive, no? Ibig sabihin, pwede mag-coexist yung dalawang seemingly contradictory realities. Hindi mutual exclusive na scramble survival mode sila at the same time, don't count them out. Alright? Those two are not mutual exclusive. They can coexist. So, number one po yan. Number one po yan. At the same time, guys, nag-agree din ako dun sa ibang kritiko na nagsabi, wag nyo rin naman masyadong seryosohin itong mga sinasabi nila because you're just amplifying yung kanilang parelevance move. In a sense, you're actually strengthening their position by taking seriously what shouldn't be taken seriously, either partly or entirely should be just dismissed. So, again, gets ko rin saan galing mga taong yan because alam naman natin ay pagdating sa mga Dutertes, especially starting with the father, they're very good in terms of putting themselves in the headlines for free. Alright? Anong pinagsasabi na itong Lindon ko? Ano pa yan? Troll ba kayo sa akin? Ayan. Sorry dami nagtatroll dyan na hindi ko Ito, balikan natin. So, sa isang banda, don't dismiss the Dutertes. Don't be dismissive about them. Especially when actually nagsascramble sila in a desperate move. In fact, a cornered, diba, dragon could be even more dangerous. Or cornered, I don't know, agila ba sila, tigre, whatever. Could be even more dangerous. So, agree ako dyan. At the same time, agree din ako na you shouldn't amplify masyado yung mga antics nila or the moves nila. Because that's exactly how Duterte got so much free airtime nung 2015 when wala siyang budget at walang sumiseryoso sa kanya. And then essentially, he became the ultimate troll candidate. And then he leveraged that troll candidacy into a serious contender. And then by the time na na-realize ng ibang candidates, tapos ng usapan. Dahil nung una, lahat nakafocus kay Binay. Nung bumaba si Binay, nagkalat si Binay especially sa debate. Months and months of expose doon sa mga alleged di umano, mga secret mansion ni Binay, mga ganyan. Binay was out. Then, pumasok yung issue ni Grace po, blah, blah, blah. Napunta sa Supreme Court, natanggal doon sa balota, ganun. So, habang sisiraan yung tatlong leading candidates. And then, of course, alam mo naman yung attack naman nila kay Moros. Ganun. Si Digong, steady lang siya. And by just trolling and putting himself in the headline, he made it all the way up. Now, that's the tactical part of Digong. There's also a part of Digong and the Duterte brand that is structurally very appealing. That whole strongman, man of action, get things done, Dirty Harry, mga ganon-ganon. Alright? So, that's why, sang-ayon ako dun sa analysis na ingat din dapat ang media na hindi amplify masyado yung mga antics ng mga Dutertes. So, yes, I agree na so you have to have a Goldilocks approach kung saan you take them seriously, you're not dismissive, but at the same time, you don't fall into the trap kung saan binibigyan mo ng free airtime na na-amplify yung kanilang political antics, positioning, and posturing because that just strengthens them. Right? So again, on the surface, mukhang each of these points are mutually exclusive, but actually they can coexist. This is the proper dialectical political thinking. So yun po yung natututo mo pag nag-aaral ka ng politika in a very formal sense. Pag tinignan mo paano nag-ooperate ang politika sa totoong buhay. Because in real life, it's a coexistence of contradictions. Right? In fact, some of the greatest leaders, I'm not saying Digong is great, but some of the greatest or at least most effective political leaders are men of contradictions or women of contradictions. And contradictions sometimes allow you to get many things done at the same time. So, kaya dito pinapakita ko na dialectically possible na lahat na yan ay nagko-coexist. Don't be dismissive, but at the same time, don't amplify yung kanilang messaging. Finding that Goldilocks balance is not gonna be easy. Kaya ako may sarili akong approach, which is to interrogate. Seryosoin ba natin? Medyo, pero wag masyado. Parang ganun, di ba? Very calibrated. I mean, it's almost the same how I advise pagdating sa West Philippine Sea, how we should be calibrated, etc. Di ba? Because that's how life is. You have to always mix things up. It's the same in martial arts, right? You mix things up. You do a little bit punching, a little bit kicking, a little bit of ground, and then you music, the same thing, di ba? So, ganun din sa politika. How do you combine these elements? How do you find the Goldilocks? Nevertheless, there are two things I want to keep in mind. I want you guys to keep in mind. First thing is the first mover's advantage and the beginner's luck element. Yung ginawa ni Digong nung 2015, I doubt na replicable siya in 2025. Because unless they do something very drastic, wala na yung initial magic. Now, hindi ko sinabi na walang dating ang mga Dutertes. I think malakas pa rin ang mga Dutertes. But if they expect na yung antics nila nung 2015, and I'll show you shortly, yung antics nila nung 2021 ay gagana sa 2025, I think they don't know what they're talking about. Diba? Beginner's luck na yan pag ganon, diba? So they have to really come up with a different strategy because nakita natin nung 2020 guys, naalala mo yung ginawa ni Digong, tatakbo akong Senate, tatakbo akong Vice President, tapos si Bongo, tapos si Sara, ayan, nagkagulo sa dulo, sinong nanalo? Si BBM, right? He just came in and ate their lunch and their lunch boxes and their farm, right? Lahat na yan, sinama niya. So, and remember, dun sa ginagawa ni Digong na nanggugulo-gulo siya, sila tuloy yung nagkakagulo. Naalala mo yung time na parang si Sara ay nag-openly, she made a statement na parang naiinis na siya sa tatay niya na essentially make up your mind. Naalala mo yun guys, yung sinabi ni Sara yun, na make up your mind kasi naiinis na siya. Dahil ano ba talagang plano ng tatay niya? Si Bongo ba talaga? Or siya? Sino supportan niya? So, if you remember, Sara actually was leading in all the surveys in the third quarter of 2021. But dahil dito sa nakakagulo, sa sobrang gulo ng Digong, in fact, until the last moment, di ba, ang ginawa nila, naalala mo yung si Bato rin nag-register, di ba? Tapos biglang nag-back out siya. Remember yung meme na Bato, yung in-order sa Shopee, tapos yung dumating. Alam mo yun? Alam mo guys, yung tumakbo si Bato, nag-file siya ng candidacy, and then nag-back out din siya. So, yung mga ganyan antics nila, hindi na umubra. Pumalpak na yan. Kaya, kinaya ng buhay ni BBM yung presidency. Diba? So, eventually, Bongo had to just withdraw totally from the race. Digong lost control of the narrative, and Sara had to slide down to the vice presidency, which Digong warned against na ilan beses niya binash si Marcos, ilan beses niya sinabing ganun. So, sa 2021-2022, nakita natin guys, yung limitasyon ng ganitong Duterte antic strategy na yan. Right? Na if you try to do the same thing over and over again, hindi na mag-work yan. Wala na yung magic factor. At, importantly, if you keep on doing that, guys, if you keep on doing that, right, others are gonna learn from it, and then others are gonna try to out to you in that. Ayan na naman. Ang dami natin mga trolls. Ayan. Ayan, okay. So, this is the second part of my analysis, guys, na very important. So, first is, kung paulit-ulit mong gagawin, hindi na mag-work yan. So, when you say the Duterte magic, what do you mean? If it's that element of surprise, kunyari, wala na yan kung paulit-ulit lang gawin nyo. Hindi nag-work yan dati. The second thing I want you guys to keep in mind, yung mga iba dyan, kung hindi nyo nagigets ang medyo proper political analysis, gusto nilang chismisan, no? Bala kayo, umalis kayo dito. Diba? Kaya hindi umaangat sa buhay kasi buong gusto niya. No? Okay. Anyway, balikan. The other thing we have to keep in mind is, we have a history whereby when tumakbo yung dalawa na magkapamilya, 'di ba? It didn't work very well. So for instance, when Jinggoy and JV tried to run na sabay nung 2019 elections, 'di ba? It didn't work eh. It didn't work. At nakita natin na there is a trade-off. Pag dalawa sa isang pamilyang tumakbo, the tendency is bababa yung numbers nila. Right? Or ide-drag down yung mas mataas sa ratings yung isa. In fact, interestingly, nangyari din yan dun sa surveys ng Okta. Remember yung interviews natin kay Ranjit Rai, Professor Rai sa Okta? Nung sila Ranjit Rai sa Okta, nung nilagay nila si Ben Tulfo dun sa rankings, number 1 pa rin si Erwin Tulfo, but bumaba siya in terms of his overall preference rate. So I think his preference rate dropped by around 14-15% or something like that. So very interestingly, ang nangyari dyan is, once you made it 2 Tulfos, yes, the 2 Tulfos were still top 5, malakas sila. But interestingly, what happened is that bumaba si Erwin. So actually in a situation whereby only 1 Tulfo was running, Erwin Tulfo was almost sure na number 1. Even more sure, right? Even more sure sa scenario kung saan si Rafi yung expected na maging number 1. So there's kind of a trade-off. Now we have to really investigate that na what happens with the voters, no? Like sa tingin ba ng voters na sobra-sobra na kung dalawa-dalawang sabay-sabay natatakbo sa isang pamilya. So we have that also situation. And third, even more interestingly, ang mga Tulfo na ngayon ang bagong macho stars ng bayan. So it's not like hindi appealing yung Duterte aggressive macho dirty Harry. It's just that there's a different version and some would say a better version of that. Kaya ako honestly, no offense sa mga ibang kaibigan natin, medyo natatawa ako dun sa mga kinikriticize ang mga Tulfo pero okay sila sa mga Duterte. When in fact, if you look at it was Rodrigo Duterte was openly calling for not only defiance of due process, but defiance of basic human rights and foundations of our constitution. Total questioning of the constitutional order in the Philippines. Tulfos never do that. You can have issues with Tulfo vigilante style of rhetoric in terms of justice, maybe how they try to circumvent quote-unquote due process, etc. But you never had, especially Rafi Tulfo, openly attacking the Philippine constitutional order. Kaya I found it always parang, wait, what? Okay ka kay Digong despite sinabi niya na sige patayin mo mga ganyan kailangan natin dictatorship pero galit ka kay Tulfo dahil inakaway niya yung isang piskal or something like that. Parang medyo weird yung ganyan argument sa akin, no offense. I'm sure some people have legitimate disagreement with Tulfos. I'm not necessarily a fan of Ben Tulfo, and we can also talk about Rafi and Erwin, etc. But the fact of the matter is that sobrang medyo weird, guys, yung anti-Tulfo ka, pero okay kay Digong. Then there's a problem with that. But yun nga, the third element here is that may iba na yung sumisikat. And then even more important, last thing I want to talk about is, tignan nyo gaano kasikip yung race this year. In fact, may mga ibang nakita akong surveys. Actually, ito yung March. May nakita akong mas bago pa. But si Amy Marcos alanganin na. Barely top 12 si Amy Marcos. So, this is gonna be a very tight race. Will one Duterte make it to top 5? Siguro si Digong or siguro si Baste. But 3 Dutertes making to top 12? In this extremely tight race, medyo malabo yan sa akin, guys. I doubt eh. This is a race whereby you have Tito Soto, you have Bongo, you have Ben Tulfo, you have Erwin Tulfo, you have Lacson, you have Bato, you have Pacquiao, you have Bong Revilla who topped the Senate race before, you have Isko, you have Amy Marcos, you have Cayetano, and then you have Lito Lapid, and then you have administration bets like Secretary Abalos. You have this time baka mag third time lucky si Willie Ong, Isko Moreno. So and then re-election is Senator Tolentino. I mean, sobrang sikip ito, guys. So this is an extremely competitive Senate race. So the idea of 3 Dutertes making it to the Senate, I think is fanciful. Now, that doesn't mean na hindi sila malakas. Siguro 1 or 2 Dutertes could still make it, but it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy. And then even more importantly, honestly, sa tingin nyo talagang 3 Duterte ang tatakbo. So ang tanong ngayon is sino maging mayor sa Davao? 'Di ba? Yung iba nagsabi, baka si Kitty na lang, whatever. Now, we of course know that's not gonna be the case, right? For reasons that I'll ask si Ronald Llamas to discuss. Hammer, alam mo, kung ayaw mo naman sa atin, edi alis ka. O yan. Ayan. O, ayaw mo naman sa atin, edi alis ka. O, go. Yan. Tapos ang laban. Yan kasi kayo. Magreklamo kayo, alis na kayo dito. Hindi naman kayo kailangan yan. Gusto nga nyo mag-level up ng gusto nyo lang na marites. Hindi mo alis kayo dito. Anyway. Sorry guys wala akong pasensya sa mga ewan. Okay? Wala akong pasensya sa ewan. Mahaba-habang araw natin, marami tayong ginagawa. Kung hindi nyo appreciate, if you don't appreciate Lamborghini, gano'n, problema niyan. Umalis kayo dito. Alright. Anyway, going back to this guys. So just to recap number 1, sino mag-mayor kung yung tatlong tatakbo? Si Sara bababa? Si Sara bababa to run for mayor of Davao? I mean, I've been hearing crazy stuff about her running for Congress or mayor. That's too crazy, guys. That's too crazy. So first of all, I doubt tatlong tatakbo. Second, even if for the sake of argument, tatlong tatakbo, we know that historically, when there are more than one persons from the same family running for Senate, it tends to have a deductive effect. We saw that clearly with JV and Jinggoy yung first time, and second time nakalusot sila but barely, right? None of them were in the top 8 or so. Last time I checked, right? And then pangatlo, this is such a competitive race whereby you have the rise of new macho stars. This is the Tulfos, and it's not only 2 Tulfos running and both of them in top 5. You have all of these other re-electionists. Bongo, De La Rosa, Amy Marcos. Si Amy Marcos na medyo alanganin. Bong Revilla, Tolentino, Lapid. I mean, ang dami nila. And then may mga iba. Isko, Pacquiao. So, good luck na makapasok ka sa top 12 dito. Sobrang hirap to. So, I think it's a combination of fanciful thinking, medyo smoke and mirrors, desperation. But as I said always again, guys, as I always said again, this doesn't mean that you should completely be dismissive of the Dutertes. And kaya, don't completely laugh them off. But also, don't allow them to use itong mga antics at mga hanash nila to gain undue airtime, right? So, yun lang. So, that's the content. But the last thing I want to also say here is, putting aside all of this political analysis and all, imagine a situation, let's just say, for the sake of argument, tama si Supra attorney, diba? Na the Duterte magic will mean 3 sa kanila makapasok, which of course all of us know is ano lang. But imagine guys, where were we before at saan tayo ngayon, guys? We used to have senators like Jokno. You used to have senators like Jovito Salonga, right? Like the smartest of smart people. And more importantly, hindi corrupt, hindi mamamatay tao, right? Hindi bastos, hindi sabog, hindi nag-ano, di ba? Maayos, matino, respetable, and there were people na they will tell you na they would skip yung, dinner nila or maaga sila mag-dismiss ng classes, ganun, para pupunta sila from Katipunan to the Philippine Senate para lang mahabol nila yung mga debate sa Senado. Parang tingin nila dito, guys, is eto yung parang Roman Senate, right? Like Virgil and, all of these great Roman thinkers and artists, you'll see quotations of them. Ganun yung level, guys. Ganun yung level. So, it's really, really sad na we went from that kind of Senate of Jovito Salonga and Jokno and all of that. And of course, there was an era here and there to what we're having right now. It's just utterly depressing. It's utterly depressing not only because you have potentially 2 or 3 people from the same family and maybe 2 families having that kind of situation, but it's also the overall quality of the Senate that we're likely gonna have. So naalala ko tuloy yung sinabi ng kaibigan natin nung sinabi ko na, nako, akala nyo ano to, etong Senate lang yung ganyan-ganyan. Hintayin nyo next year, maging mas exciting pa yan. Papunta pa lang tayo sa exciting part. Tapos sabi nila, buti nga, nag-migrate tayo. Gumanon pa sa harap ko, di ba? And this is where we are. Kaya sa akin, guys, the idea of treating the Philippine Senate as if parang barangay lang ng tatay mo yan at pwede mo ilagay kahit sinong gusto mo dyan, na parang yung mga voters ay sunod-sunuran lang, in my opinion, is an insult against our democracy and our electorate. And at the same time also, it's an indictment on how low our democracy has gone over the past decades or so. We can have a long conversation about what exactly went wrong, but something has been going seriously wrong with Philippine democracy and democracies all around the world. I mean, you can have, someone, some orange hair guy, taking over White House also next year. Not that the guy right now in the White House is the most inspiring too, but something is going on here, guys. But having said that, we are also seeing many interesting cases. We have folks my age becoming president of Chile, folks younger than me becoming prime ministers of France. The next prime minister of France, although not necessarily my favorite, the far right Italian descent guy in France, is 29. And then, interestingly, in India, you had Rahul Gandhi, right? Someone who was been dismissed na parang marohas daw ng India, mga ganyan type. Na magaling, well-educated, pero walang ano sa politika. Well, now he's now the de facto leader of the opposition and he is now a front-runner to succeed Modi, na medyo matanda na rin at mukhang last term niya na sa office yan. So, for me, putting aside all of that political analysis, it's really an indictment on our democracy. Not only, guys, yan ang ayoko, yung biniblame yung voters parate. Yung arrogance, yung hubris na yan. Yung hubris na yan eh. You can say everything against me. Na si Richard mayabang niya, whatever. But anyone who knows me, knows a thing or two about me, knows that my compassion for our kababayan, especially the less privileged ones, those who didn't have the privilege like me to go to UP, or like some of you to go to some of the good private schools, or some of us who even had exposure to, or even attended schools abroad, best universities around the world. Not all of our kababayans had that kind of exposure. My compassion was always with our kababayan. Kaya nga ginagawa natin yung ginagawa natin ngayon. Alam natin, may mga nakikinig sa atin dito. Alam ko yung mga iba sabi niya, si Richard, highbrow, konyotic, mga ganun. Like, you have no idea. Yung mga ibang nakikinig sa atin ay some of the most humblest folks in this country, who love our country, who are open to different ideas, at nakikinig sila sa atin. Hindi dahil konyotic tayo or ayaw nila ng konyotic. Hindi, nakikinig sila dahil nakikita nila yung ginagawa natin, guys. So para sa akin, we have to get rid of elitism. We have to get rid of voter blaming. We have to develop compassion. But we also have to understand something has really gone wrong and lahat tayo nagkakulang. I mean, how I wish I started this vlogging 10 years ago. Although malabo kung... But anyway, sana kung nagawa ko rin 10 years ago, guys. Di sana nung 2016 and 2022 elections, hindi lang ako nasa TV as a pundit, I could have directly had some sort of little but still consequential influence. And who knows, even more, di ba? So nagkulang tayo lahat. Nagkulang tayo bilang educators, nagkulang tayo bilang journalists, nagkulang yung mga kasama natin na liberal, reformist, whatever. Obviously may kulang din sa kanila. Like of all good Filipino presidents supposedly, how much inclusive growth did they create? Right? How much inclusive right? Kaya I threw out ideas, I threw out the data there. 2011, according to World Bank, 40 richest families took home 76% of newly created growth. 2013 elections, up to 80% of our elected offices were dominated by dynasties. And this was actually supposed to be during the time of a reformist, clean, non-corrupt president. So something seriously is going wrong here. At ang payo ko talaga sa mga kaibigan natin na gustong pumasok sa politika, they want to reform the system, whatever is, you cannot win back the hearts and minds of the Filipino people kung yung pangako mo sa kanila, yung pare-parehas lang na pa-cute lang, pa-epal, You know, mga ganyan, hindi nagagana yan. Hindi nagagana. You have to really go for something drastic. Not revolutionary, but something drastic. Good radical change. Good radical change. Kaya nga nag-work yung sinabi ni Digong na, real change is coming. Although, of course, sabi ng iba, real change is coming. But real change talaga. Tunay na pagbabago ang gusto ng ating mga kababayan. At ang tunay pagbabago ay hindi pwedeng pakit ka lang sa mga pa-TikTok ka lang, pakit ka lang na, sige, bigyan ko kayo ng, sige, gawin kong bigas na ganito na lang presyo. Yung mga unrealistic na, you have to really push for something drastic. And also, you have to channel that. And then, in the meantime, also fight against fake news and disinformation, which, by the way, is a problem everywhere in the world. Arguably, disinformation is even worse in India, and yet dinoble ng opposition yung kanilang seats. Obviously, even worse yung yung disinformation, some would say in the United States and many Latin American countries, and yet a lot of right-wing populists were defeated. So, tama, mahalaga na labanan ng disinformation. But to just say this is all disinformation misses the point. Scratch the surface, there's so much discontent. Ang dami sa ating mga kabayan na hindi nag-benefit sa economic growth na meron tayo. Ang dami mga kailangan na lilinisin talaga, literally and figuratively, sa ating sistema. At yun po talaga ang dapat titignan natin. So on that note again, guys, si Ma'am Bleslie to, dito yan ada promesa mang 2K per month per family. Nangabak. Narinig ko nga, meron pa nga nag 2 rounds pang ganun. Amom auntie. Amom auntie. But you get what I'm saying, guys? And yeah, kasama dyan, vote buying. You know, alam niyo yung vote buying issue, malaking problema yan. Hindi lang dahil na-desperate yung ibang tao. Actually, vote buying is a problem kasi parang mafia mag-operate yung ibang dynasties eh. Kung nag-vote buying kami dito sa ganito na yan, pag di kami nanalo sa barangay na yan, may mga studies eh, ipapunish nila yung buong barangay, collective punishment. Nagbayad kami bakit di kami nanalo sa barangay? Lagot kayo lahat. So minsan pinapa-espiya pa nila yung mga tao sa isa't isa. Sino yung mga pasaway dyan? Sigurado din lahat sila bumoto base dun sa vote buying transactions, mga ganun. Yung COMELEC, palakasan natin para naman may tooth naman sila kahit papaano para labanan itong pag-aralan natin itong bagong wala na yung Smartmatic. Sino naman pumalit? Di ko kilala, guys. Korean daw. At hindi BTS o wala. Hindi ko kilala yung bagong nag-replace ng Smartmatic. Wala talaga. Okay, sinira-sira ng lahat ng taong Smartmatic. Okay, so sino naman nag-replace? So, minsan technicalities din ang pag-usapan natin. Pero pag ginawa mong lahat disinformation lang, essentially you're just voter blaming. And that may have some basis, but it's also very elitist and hubristic. Kaya ginagawa natin ngayon, guys. Mahirap ayusin yung ganitong kumpul-kumpul na problema. Pero kung unti-unti natin yung parang i-on-roll, no? Itanggalin itong mga layers ng problem. Unti-unti aakyat din ng bansa at mararamdaman natin yung positive na direction ng bansa. And thank God, we have many good green shoots here. Whether it's Mayor Vico, diba? We have good examples from Iloilo to Baguio. Not perfect, but, things moving in the right direction. And then we have good senators like Riza Ontiveros and mga others. So, let's look at that. Alright? And then may mga lumalaban din mga progressive candidates for the Senate. Supportahan mo sila. Huwag mo lang tignan yung nasa surveys. Push lang ng push. Right? Yun ang po yung kailangan natin. And in the meantime, we have to stay inspired and entertained. Kaya minsan, sana ma-appreciate nyo bakit natin ginagawang humorous yung ginagawa natin. Kasi syempre, pati ako minsan na-depressed din ako. Ano ba naman, di ba? Saan yung mga good news dito, di ba? Syempre, kaya dapat maintindihan nyo ginagawa kong informal ito. Dahil kailangan ko rin go lang tayo ng go, di ba? Go lang tayo ng go. Ayan, proud Ilongga daw si Ma'am Grace. Di ba? Yung mga kapatid natin ni Lucano, nagko-comment din dyan. So, it's parang, di ba, parang binigyan tayo itong lumang kotse, pero maganda siyang vintage Pero kailangan mo ayusin ng unti-unti Ayusin mo yung pintura, pag may budget ka, ayusin mo yung tires, patingin mo yung radiator, ayusin mo yung engine. Pag may budget ka ng konti mamaya, ayusin mo rin, gawin mong leather yung... Ganon din yun tayo ay isang magandang vintage car. Ang demokrasya natin ay almost century old. Panahon pa lang ni Rizal, may mga ideas na sila ng democracy para sa atin mga Pilipino So, not perfect. Of course, we can have a lot of discussion about feudalismo, elitismo, whatever. But, so, we are a beautiful vintage car na hindi na-maintain na mabuti. At ngayon, kailangan natin ayusin ng unti-unti. We're not gonna get that final beautiful Mustang 1960s vintage car right away. Pero unti-unti tayo papunta dyan. Pag ayusin natin yung mga parte-parte. Are we gonna get there if we're gonna make Senate a clown show? No. As simple as that. So it's important that we vote for the right people, and it's important to keep on pushing for good change, even if nakakabahala, nakaka-depress siya minsan. Even if burnout na ako at ganyan ang aking eye bags, kaya magpahinga na ako. Mahal na mahal ko kayo. Thank you so much sa lahat ng suporta nyo. Sige na nga, kahit yung mga nagtatroll sa akin, mga sabi na boring ka, wala kang ganun. Sige. Kayo na magaling. Sige lang, kayo na magaling. O, kayo na magpaimbita sa mga ano. Diba? You wanna troll me, diba? Seriously. But, yun nga sana gawin natin, okay? So, thank you so much, guys, for all your support. It might not be clear to you guys, but I'm putting my heart and soul into this. Honestly, guys, parang baby ko na ito Itong ginagawa natin, vlogging and all of, medyo meron naman tayong following dati pa dun sa Facebook and all. Pero itong YouTube natin ngayon, podcast natin, parang baby ko na to, guys. Naka-episode 520 na tayo ngayon. Pinaghirapan ko talaga to, guys. Naka 2,000 vlogs na tayo sa YouTube. Pero as a podcast, episode 520 na tayo. 520, guys. So, binigyan tayo ng Diyos ng lakas, inspirasyon, at motivasyon para go lang tayo ng go. So, let's make this beautiful vintage Mustang a reality. Because andun siya Hindi lang natin inalagaan We don't need a BYD. Okay? We don't need a new BMW. We don't need a new... We have this beautiful vintage car. We just have to fix it, guys. Unti-unti lang. At yung mga tao na may experience dito sa mga restoration, napansin mo, pag unti-unti mo ni-restore isang magandang bagay, parang, pag inayos mo itong part, nakikita mo yung, so, parang it shows you the road to the future. It gives you a flash of the future. At that's how you keep a country on an upward trajectory. Dapat ganun, guys, ang gagawin natin. No, I'm not offended by trolls. I enjoy engaging them. But at the same time, of course, minsan, guys, we have to really call them out. Honestly, we have to really call out people who are shamelessly smart-shaming, who are shamelessly disrespectful, who are shamelessly ignoramos, right? And guys, ito pa. I hate the culture of mediocrity that has taken grip of our country for a long time. And kaya minsan, kailangan natin i-push yung boundaries din So kung sabi na medyo highbrow si Richard, medyo conyotic, medyo illustrated. Like, guys, we have to really aspire to be a little bit more para marespeto tayo sa abroad. At for all of you mga nagsabi na conyotic tayo, guess what? Pag nasa abroad tayo, bentang-benta to. I mean it in an intellectual sense, right? Just to be clear about that, I'm just saying. When they see this side of us, medyo pretentious, but medyo mala-ilustrado. Believe, gustong-gusto ng mga, I'm talking about the top universities, experts around the world. Like, wow, ito talaga mga Pilipino kakaiba. Itong side na kailangan natin ipakita sa kanila. We have already proven ourselves as great professionals, nurses, doctors, given na lahat yan. Pero we have to do something else. At the same time, medyo naman tayo, ba't di naman tayo once in a while para para sa bayan. So, yun lang. So, call out natin yung mga haters. Because it's fun. Because it's fun. No, but because, guys, we need to have a floor. Okay? Sinasabi ko parati yan sa West Philippine Sea din Hindi pwede na yung mga makapili na yan, i-weaponize nila yung freedoms natin. Alright? Inis ako kung nagpapanggap silang professor or whatever. Saan sila tuturo? Ano nila? Tapos sasabihin nila academic. So we have to have a floor. In the same way, we have to have a floor. Diba? If people do not appreciate proper intellectual discussion, problema mo na yan. Hindi ko problema yan. Pero bakit ka nandito? Bakit ka nagko-comment? Huli ka. Diba? Huli ka, kalbo. So, that's what I'm saying, guys. Alright? And by the way, guys, wag na naman kayong gawin issue yung sa story ko na nangyari or yung mga minsan nagkakantsawan kami ni yung mga supporters namin ni Christian. Don't make too much issue. We're all friends. We're all friends. We're all great friends. Okay? In fact, maganda yan, guys. Maganda yung ginagawa namin kasi nagiging interesting bardagulan yung mga medyo komplikadong issue but not complicated enough. All right? On that note, thank you very much. God bless and talk to you soon.